But you can't just have a crummy culture and expect people to work there.
So Hallie, you, for the last year, have been running, I think it's 3 companies. And this is your introduction to being in the manufacturing world. Why? How? Like,
Right.
What has that been like?
What was I thinking?
What were you thinking? Perfect.
So, manufacturing has been like our whole life. My husband's an engineer by training. We've always had manufacturing plants. He has always come home smelling like some version of oil all the time. I've had, robots in my dining room table, and, he has to get a part out the next day. So the 5 of us would sit around and put something together. We're not strangers to manufacturing. The strange part is me being a part of manufacturing. So my husband used to say years ago, like, if I'm ever involved in the businesses, the whole ship is going down. And and then he found, the set of companies in Elyria that he was really hot on, really excited about. And I went to go see it with them. And, I'm at the age we're empty nesting. And it was kind of he was so excited about it that it sort of got me excited. And that's how I landed there.
So you take over the business. What are those range of emotions? Like, tell me the roller coaster of what it's like.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, it's scary. Jim was super excited about it. I was nervous / excited and trying to understand it and figure it out. But the trust piece is huge, because nobody in the building had any reason to trust who we were, what we were doing. You're just kind of trying to put everyone's mind to rest that you actually have good intentions for the business.
How do you do that?
Just by getting out there and doing the work with them. That's the biggest thing, So my folks have learned really quickly that I won't ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. I will, wear a crummy outfit and get on the floor and, be scrubbing an oil stain. It's having conversations, walking the floor, which we do all the time, every day. And it's taken 8 months, but I think we're there. It's been pretty fun over the last month to kind of see the culture shift. You can't just create a company anymore and have a crummy culture and expect people to work there. People are savvier now. They want better working conditions. They want a better working environment.
Okay, so tell me about the culture before and after. At Magnet, I've also experienced culture. I don't think quite like what you've had to do in the last 8 months.
It's been crazy. There were, when we first bought it, it felt chaotic. There were a lot of people that had been there for a long time. The model was temps. Pretty much everybody in the building was a temp. Not everybody, but most. And so it became really important to us to get people hired. Along with that, people get health insurance and all the things that are so important, and just being invested in the company.
You've made trust kind of a core principle of the business going forward, a value. How do you know it's working?
So the people and the trust part is huge. And us being respected and having the respect of our folks and us respecting them is what it's all about. I tell the story about the cigarette butts on the parking lot when we first bought the place, and it was just thousands of cigarette butts all over the parking lot, everywhere. And people would just get out of the car and throw the cigarette on the ground. And, we re-rocked the driveway and had a whole meeting about it and talked to everyone about the importance of, respecting the space. We bought picnic tables and bought all the, places for them to dispose cigarettes. And 2 weeks later, same thing. Cigarette butts all over the place. And so we brought the whole company out, stopped production, pulled everybody out to the parking lot. We said, here's how it's going to go. Here's a plastic bag. Here's some gloves. If you want this to be a place where you can smoke on your breaks, then you have to respect the property. We're investing in you. You need to, give it back. And I have not found another cigarette butt in months. It's so fun. So at the end of the day, you get in bed and lie down and know you did a good job. That makes it worth it.
You took over multiple companies all in one. I think it's a couple dozen people, right?
Yeah.
So what is it that you actually make?
Okay, so it's not purses and shoes, which I wish it were, but We have 3 companies under one roof. The first one is called B-Valve, and it is basically valves and fittings. I just brought a little one here to show you. It's a little, see that cute little ball valve in there, turns. So kind of think of anything that like requires water transfer, everything but the hose basically. So agricultural industry, irrigation, that kind of thing. We are never at a rest stop where we're not getting out and looking at a truck now to see if they have our, valves on it, and we're offended if they don't. That's one. Then we have a company called Cable Tech. We were just saying we should rename it Fiber Tech because the world's kind of going fiber. So this is cable management, this company. So it's the gray boxes you see outside your house, the green pedestals you might see in your neighborhood, the raceways to hide the fiber lines or the cable lines, that kind of thing. And then we have a third company called Pioneer Products, which is a single product company, which makes a coupler for the oil burner industry.
Have you thought at all about the sorts of technologies? We can group them under Industry 4.0, but the types of technologies you're going to want to upgrade over time in?
Every day. Every day we have dinosaur machines. We have machines that
not unlike many of our companies, right?
No, we have a lot of things that can be replaced with better stuff. We have Magnet right now doing a dive into our, kind of understanding what machines we have and what could, which ones we could get rid of. So I think if you don't have technology in 2023, you're missing a piece. Like, we know that's important. We know we have to do that. You also need people, so it's figuring out what's the balance between the new machinery where you don't need as many people and the people to man the machine or the people to run the processes or whatever. So technology is huge.
How do you make the decision that A, you want to invest in all of these things, and B, how do you prioritize your investment, be it time or money?
It's hard because it's expensive, all of it. To some degree, I think when you're in a small business and it's been doing well enough for a long time, you just keep doing things the way you've always done them because it's like, that's what you do. That's how we did it 10 years ago. It worked then. The problem is now your margins are so small, you don't have the room anymore to make expensive mistakes. And so I think that's the piece where when you own a small business, there's like this balancing act of the money and trying to figure out, like, would I love to pay my people more? Of course, right? I'd love to do that. But I also have to make payroll and I have to make sure that I have enough money to invest in the company. So a lot of the money when you own a small business goes back into the business, and you just hope that someday, it'll all come together and make sense. But it's a challenge. I think the grit and resilience you need to be a small company right now is it's insane. I think it's harder every day. Since COVID, one of the hardest pieces is being able to afford the workforce. Huge problem. 5 years ago, you could have been paying nearly the same rate as one of the big guys. Now they're $20 and north of that. And it's hard to do that as a small business.
Thinking about the industry overall, what do you see as the major challenges for just manufacturing in Northeast Ohio for its growth over the next 10 years?
It's definitely workforce. That is a huge issue. Is finding. I think there are people. It's just finding the right people and getting them excited about it. I think we have to get into schools early and expose manufacturing to kids at a much younger age. I think there are plenty of people that don't know one thing about manufacturing. So I think the workforce, I would say, is one of the number one challenges. And it's also like this competition piece with margins are small, and figuring out how to make something where you're still going to make a profit and enough of a profit when you're in competition every single day with people sending things offshore, or a bigger company being able to do it for less. If we want to keep manufacturing alive, we have to figure out how we help each other. And that means the big companies help the small companies, and the resources that are around help the small companies grow, and we all work together, because I think without that, I think we're going to lose a lot of companies.